Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome to The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Part 3. Oh no, wait, it's supposed to be Part 4, right? And why am I starting at the very same location Part 3 started in? That is because of one important item I wanted to pick up quickly. I did promise we would go to Lake Hylia, and trust me, we still will. However, there was something else a little bit out of the way that we also need to pick up, because otherwise you can't continue, so you have to pick this up, trust me. And since it's not in the route that we're going to take in a few moments, I thought might as well do this first. So I started us off here. I went back towards Kakariko village with my Pegasus shoes in hand. And we are, in fact, at the library once again. This is where the minigame for the heart piece was. And here we have the house that had the treasure chest minigame. In case you were wondering where we were. But as you may know, there's also a third building at the south end of Kakariko here. And that is the library. And if you remember even more correctly, you remember there was a book on the shelves that we could not grab. Guess what? Now that we have Pegasus shoes, we can knock it off! And we can grab it! You found the Book of Mudora. You can use it to read the ancient language of the Hylia. And yes, that's going to be required. There's a couple of things in this game that are in the old language that we can't read. So we need a translation book. And here we have it. And in fact, where we're going next, towards Dungeon 2, that is actually going to be required. So, might as well pick it up. And speaking of picking up, there's a couple of other things we can also do. Now that we have the Pegasus shoes. Things are opening up left and right for us. And for that we're going to want to go back north, where the sanctuary was. Remember that place, where Princess Zelda is in hiding with the old sage. In fact, it's over there. We're on the ledge above it now. And why are we on the ledge above it? Because there's actually something we can open up with our Pegasus shoes. Whenever you find these kinds of rocks that are in formation of 5, you might say, you can't lift them, but you can dash them. It's another use of the dash attack that comes with the Pegasus shoes. You can open up these kind of rocks, and sometimes they hold secrets. In this case, heart, peace, gut. Which is the 5th one, I believe. Yeah, it was the first quarter of a heart, so it's the 5th one, since we already got an entirely completed set. Okay, that is all for now. So we'll be heading towards the south end of Hyrule next. As you can see, the next pendant is in the desert over here. It's not colored in brown for nothing, it actually is all sand. And since we're going that way, we're also going to go to this swamp over here, where also a couple of things are to pick up. And in the meantime also go to Lake Hylia, which is also connected to that area. Yeah, that's all smart planning. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do this part first. Get this out of the way, since this is a little bit off the route, you might say. But also something we can already pick up. Might as well do it now. The more stuff you have early on, the easier the game becomes, so it's usually a good strategy to go with in Zelda. And traversing the overworld definitely becomes a lot easier already with these Pegasus shoes. Okay, let's take a look at this little outcropping to the north of Lake Hylia first. You can't access the rest of Lake Hylia from here, but there's also a couple of things we can check out here. Here we actually have a way to enter the water, and it's the whole reason why we can't go anywhere yet from here. As you can see, Link can't swim. So, you can't go south from this end. But we do find a shop here, so might as well point this shop out quickly. This is what they all sell here. Nothing noteworthy. I'll never come in this shop again. I can already promise you that. But this is in fact Lake Hylia. Even though we can't really access it from here, since we can't swim. And from this location, the only way to get to the rest of Lake Hylia is through the water. Here we have another fortune teller's house that I'm not going to use, since I don't need it. After playing this game for hundreds of times, I don't think I need one. Just pointing out what is here. Okay, and now for the real deal. Let's go back collecting stuff. And this is the true entrance to the southern end of Hyrule, you might say. This takes us to the swamp. It's a little marshy area over here. There's nothing really of importance here. You can technically skip this if you're just going for the story. You do need to pass through here in order to reach the desert, so you do need to come in here. But for 100% business, of course, there is going to be something here. There's a lot of these soldiers hiding in the grass here, so be careful for those. As you can see, here's one. First, let's check out this building over here. This looks suspicious, right? Let's go check out what is in here. take note of the water that's beside the building now. Ooh, block pushing puzzle. I like. Now it's only for bombs. But we do need to reset the room because the true prize is actually behind the blocks, and for that you need to push them like this. Because you can only push the blocks once. Once you push them, they stay locked in that position. Okay, I always press the wrong one here. One of them is a trap, as you can see. Bombs will start raining down. And this is the real one. And the lock will actually open, releasing some water. Remember when I told you to take a look on at the water besides this building? It's gone now. And it is actually hiding a piece of heart for us. Thank you. Number 6. Ow. Let's move on, because there's more stuff to do here. There's a cave to the north, I believe, so let's go check that out. Oh. Go away. Thank you. Okay, it's not over here. Randomizer has taught me there's a cave here. This is actually, in all honesty, a cave that whenever I played through the game normally, I always skipped. But because there is a couple of chests in here, whenever playing the Link to the Past randomizer, some important stuff can be in here, of course. It's the whole reason why I rediscovered this cave. There's a couple of mini Moldorms in here. You can shoot them with arrows, the ones that are inaccessible, you might say. But there's actually a trick. You can actually shove across the wall here. The game is trying to be like, hey, you can't reach that area, but they forgot to program it in such a way that the wall is inaccessible. For some reason, it still works as a platform there. So you can just take these guys out without using your sword. And yeah, as you can see, it does not work on the north wall, only on the south wall. And here we find a lot of stuff, and a random dude that is trying to mimic a monster that wants to keep a secret to everybody. Remember from the first Zelda game where you find these monsters in caves, giving you rupees, saying it's a secret to everybody. This guy's actually trying to mimic that. Good little cameo to the first Zelda game. But like I said, nothing of importance here. Only when playing the randomizer something of importance can be in here. Okay, let's move to the east of Lake Hylia. Like Saharasha promised to us, there is actually something hidden to the east of Lake Hylia. And this is actually the way to access it. You access Lake Hylia from the west through the swamp. And then move along the southern edge and up north until you reach the cave that he was talking about. Don't really find anything in between, so just a couple of enemies that you can destroy. Or enemies that destroy you, of course. But okay, this is where we want to be. As you can see, there's a cave here. But if you go in here, you will find a dead end. So don't go in here. The true prize is actually hidden a little bit in this cracked wall over here. Let's go in here. Because if we go in here, we can access the chests. If you take the other pathway, you will end up here. These blocks can't be pushed, so you'll be in a dead end, like I promised. Okay, what's the big deal about? The ice rod. It's chill magic, blast the air. But watch your magic meter. It's another magic weapon. The ice rod is actually a powerful weapon that uses magic that you can freeze enemies with. Basically stunning them. Let me show you off. Like this. If you hit an enemy, it immediately freezes and therefore stuns, so it doesn't move again. Very powerful item. Not required, unfortunately. You can do the entire game without it. In fact, I always do the game without it. It's not an item I like using, but it is part of the 100%. And if you do like using it, go right ahead. And this is where you find it. And it does have some good use, I just think it's a little bit unnecessary to freeze enemies. Since it costs magic and stuff. Magic is actually something you're going to want to use for other things. Trust me, there's a lot more items that are required to drain a lot of magic too. So I usually also don't really feel you can permit yourself to... What the hell? Okay. Not too sure what that was, but apparently that's a thing. Not too sure what that was about, but... You can find stuff in the grass, apparently. Never happened to me before. Anyway, what do we have over here? This guy is actually pretty important. Remember in Kakariko village where someone talked about an ex-member of the thief gang being at the entrance to the desert? They were actually talking about this guy. But this guy actually does not talk. I'm just an average guy. Do not speak to me. Do not remove this sign. And of course, I will remove the sign. Why did you take my sign? It says plain as day. Just leave me alone. Sheesh. And he will actually start following you around if you do. You can easily reset it by just leaving the screen and everything will be back to normal, but it's a pretty funny cameo. Just remember this guy, because he does not talk, but he is still an ex-thief. And that is something we're going to want to remember. Okay, this cave is just a fairy fountain, nothing important. Let's move into the desert now. We've done everything else. Okay, the desert is actually ruled by these vultures. These guys can be annoying since they start circling around you. And sometimes suddenly start swooping in on you. Can be pretty tricky. Watch out for the bombs here, because as you can see you find these buttons throughout the desert. And these are actually bombs. The moment you step on them, they work as mines. Hey, there's a tablet there. I can't reach it quite yet. Just remember it for later. There's a tablet above there. Okay, let's move into the cave to the north. Here is actually something we can pick up. Oh, there's an old man here. But there's also a cracked wall here. So talk to you first. Ah, it's the Book of Mudora. With it you can read the language of the Hylian people. And this guy talking about the book is not here for nothing. This guy basically gives you a hint. If you do not have the Book of Mudora at this point, go back. You can't go on. Trust me, you can't. You need it for later. Heart piece number 7. That's actually what you find in here. Obviously the most important reason to go in here. But the old man is here to give you a hint about the Book of Mudora being required in an instant. Let's take a look at that quickly, because there's not... I don't like these guys. They look so scary. Not really sure what they're supposed to be, but they're after us. That's the whole reason why I don't like this desert. The enemies here are annoying. Not just the vultures, but these guys too. Okay, we want to go to the northwest of the desert. Here we actually find the second dungeon as indicated by our map. But we also find a stone tablet here, which if we try to read it, we'll find out it is actually written in Hylian, and therefore we can't read it. And now you understand why the Book of Mudora is required. If we equip the book, we can read this stone. To open the way forward, make your wish here, and it will be granted. Well, my wish is easy. I want to enter Dungeon 2. Statues will rearrange, opening up the pathway into the desert palace. Okay, a step up from the first dungeon, which was short, easy, and not too interesting. This one is going to be a little bit trickier, of course. The game knows we are accustomed to its physics and its mechanics and the dungeon crawling, so the time for easy dungeon crawling is over. This place is a little bit more complicated. Here we find the Beamos for the first time. Its eye spins around, and the moment it sees you, it fires a laser at you, so be careful. Okay, let's see if I remember how to get through this place. First, I want to go in here. The northern room. So I'm pretty sure this is where we'll get the map immediately. Okay, here's a switch, which will make the chest appear. And like I said, it is the map of this place. So we can take a look at the layout immediately. Which is pretty neat at the beginning, so you immediately know what we're up against. 3 floors this time, as you can see. A lot of stuff on the basement floor. And a couple of rooms on the first and second floor, but those look like to be a little bit smaller. But first we're taking a look at the basement floor, of course. That's the big bulk of the dungeon and the part of the dungeon we're in right now, so... let's go take a look at that immediately. Okay, we'll be heading towards the east wing first, but first we want to pick up a key. If I remember correctly, this room over here will actually have a key, as you can see, on one of these torches. And there's also a tile here. Treecks, it is I, Shalrashalalala. Be sure to find the treasures hidden in each dungeon. That is a very big advice, because the dungeon items are all required. Don't skip a single one. Don't think you can skip a dungeon item. Even if you're going for a speedrun, they're all required. And every chest can have one, or at least the key leading towards it, you might say. So even small chests are worth getting. Okay, let's clear out the eastern part of the dungeon first. Because why not? We need to end in the western part anyway, so might as well do that part last then. Smart planning. Okay, first of all, the room to the southeast of the dungeon is actually an exit to this place. For some reason. As you can see, we're up above now, but there's nothing really we can do here. But it is a little bit of an indication. This place actually has multiple exits and entrances. This one is useless, but it can be used to explain how the entrance/exit mechanics of this place work. Here we have the compass, so we know where the boss is. It's not really that hard to guess in the place like this. It's that room on the second floor where everything ends. It's not really surprising, isn't it? Pretty useless compass. Okay, this place actually has a couple of cannons shooting some cannonballs at us, which are really easily avoided. And at the end we find the big key already. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's move back. Okay, the west wing is up next. Because the big key was actually required for that. This room is actually a trap room. I'll show it off because 100% completion and everything. But this room actually has nothing, just a couple of enemies. As you can see, levers and these worm dudes that spawn in the sand pits. Once you defeat them, the door unlocks. No reward. Like I said, it's a trap room. But part of the dungeon, so it's filled in our map now. Okay, west wing up next. We've already did the room to the north here for the key that we needed in order to grab the compass and the big key. Let's move here now. We need to find the switch again, it seems. Which one? I always think the pots can actually destroy the Beamos, but I don't think it can actually hurt him. But anyway, once we get through this place, we will find the dungeon item, the Power Glove. You can feel strength in both hands. You can pick up and carry stones now. Something that has been gnawing us for this entire time, not being able to lift anything but pots and bushes. Now we can lift rocks. And yes, it is required later on. Not so much in this dungeon quite yet. The dungeon does not really make too much use of it, with the exception of one thing, namely accessing the final part of the dungeon. But for that we actually need to make our way outside again. Like I said, there's multiple entrances and exits to this place. And the part where the dungeon boss is actually accessed from a different location. But before we do, we want to take a look at this room to the north here. It's not required, but might as well show off what is here. If I only knew which block to push. Okay, this one apparently. Let's go check out what we have in here. Ah, a fairy fountain. Not a great fairy here, but there's a couple of regular fairies flying around, so you can catch them in a bottle or just pick them up regularly. But okay, once we exit here we can actually find we do have something to go to. We're on a higher ledge now. A place you cannot access from below, as you can see, but there is a heart piece here. If these guys want to leave me alone. Heart piece number 8, giving us another heart container. Thank you very much. But okay, we're not just here for the heart piece. Like I said, there's also another entrance to the dungeon here. In fact, to the final part of the dungeon. And there's rocks blocking it. So, if you don't have the Power Glove, you are not allowed in here, you might say. Okay, Desert Palace Part 2. Now we're on the first floor. Which is really easy because there's one straight pathway with a couple of challenges in each room. The puzzle is not traversing the place, that is really easy here, since there are no split pathways to go through. Just a couple of challenges, like this one, the moving floor tiles, remember those. Those tend to be a thing in a lot of Zelda games. You can ignore these guys because the key is actually under the pots here. Sometimes you're actually required to let these guys go all the way before the door unlocks or a chest appears. But not in this case, the key is already under the pot. Okay, this is just defeat all enemies and the door unlocks. Let's go. Okay, these weird tentacle enemies are not so much a problem. But I don't think these guys are the key, because this is going to be another key hidden under a pot kind of room. And there it is. Okay, let's move out of here before we get killed by the Beamos. And more floor tiles will start appearing. Once again, find the key and you can just leave, or like me, be curious about what's under the other pots. Nothing apparently. Let's go. Okay. Oh, these guys again. Well, we still have our bow and arrow, so... Okay, pots don't work. No. And shooting the wrong way also doesn't work. Hello, my friend. Bye, my friend. Okay, these torches are suspicious. So let's grab ourselves our lantern and light up this place. Bam! In case you were wondering if this was a dead end. Answer, no. And in fact, it brings us to the boss door. And I see we're already past 20 minutes, a while ago, so I think I'll stop here. This is a very good cliffhanger for the next episode. Stopping right before the boss. See you folks next time. Treecks out.